Welcome back to another What I Eat in a Day here on the channel, this time with fresh and easy summer recipes, and many thanks to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. Now that it's got so much warmer outside, I like to start my day with some cold brew tea rather than my regular hot drinks. So I prepared this the night before just by steeping a tablespoon of herbal tea in a liter of water. I then just allow it to sit in the fridge overnight. This tea gets almost like a bubblegum flavor and it's really refreshing in the morning. Then for my breakfast, I prepare a yogurt bowl, starting with some oat yogurt that's in a thick Greek yogurt style. I usually use the one from Oatly, but I also like soy-based yogurts. Then I top that with some granola. This is the cinnamon granola from our website. I also grab a banana and chop it up into pieces and add those to the bowl as well. I also love adding raisins to my breakfast bowl, so here I'm using some golden raisins, and then for a little bit of extra seeds I like to add some hemp hearts. And finally I top it all off with some fresh raspberries. Berries really are my favorite in the summer, so I try to get as many in as possible. Enjoying eating our breakfast out on the balcony when the weather permits and it's sunny like today. We planted some herbs and some flowers there, I think in April. And it's so nice to see them now when they really grown and are blossoming, I guess. Yeah, it's just a nice spot to enjoy breakfast and enjoy this early summer. And this morning I felt like having a classic breakfast of granola and yogurt. It's something I return to every once in a while. It feels like a little bit of a treat to me. And we like to make our own granola. I'll leave some links to recipes down below if you want to try some of our recipes for granola. But now it's lunchtime and I look forward to another classic in my book. But before we get into that, I want to thank Squarespace for sponsoring this video and tell you a little bit more about them. Squarespace is an all-in-one website builder with lots of great tools to create a beautiful and well-functioning website without any prior knowledge of coding or website building. Their Fluid Engine design system offers great customizable templates that will suit your style and brand. For example, they offer great blogging tools which allow you to share your stories, photos, and videos, as well as schedule your posts as you wish. You can also use Squarespace to set up your own online store, whether you sell physical, digital, or service products. I use Squarespace for my online photography portfolio and really enjoy how easy and intuitive it is to use the drag and drop technology to bring my creative ideas to life. So if you're thinking about creating a website for your project, check out squarespace.com for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch your site, go to squarespace.com/goodeatings for 10% off your first website or domain. So for lunch, I'm going to make a salad. That's the classic I was referring to. To me, salads make a great lunch, fresh, light, quick, and yummy, crunchy. It has a little bit of everything and you can obviously make them in so many different ways to suit your mood, your taste. And today I thought I'd make a green base using some cabbage, some leaves, some cucumber, and this really yummy dressing that I made in a recipe, I think it was last spring. So it's a blender dressing that has lots of yummy stuff in it. Among it, it has basil, which I think is such a nice summery flavor. And then I'm gonna fry off some chickpeas to add for a little bit more of a satiating factor. But yeah, I will start by making the dressing. This time I just eyeballed the measurements for this dressing, but I'll make sure to link the recipe down below in the description box for you. I started by adding the fresh basil to my blender, and I also add in a handful of mixed baby greens. Usually I use spinach, but it doesn't really matter. Any tender leafy green will work well. I also like to add some nutritional yeast for a cheesy flavor, as well as some tahini for creaminess. I also go in with some olive oil as fats carry flavor. Then I squeeze in some lemon juice to brighten everything. And I add some garlic powder as well as season with salt. Finally, I pour in a little splash of water to make everything blend well and simply blend it until smooth. If you try this dressing and you find it gets too loose, then add a little bit more tahini, and if it's too thick, add a little bit more water. Then I set the dressing aside and I start prepping the base for the salad. First, I slice up some of this fresh cabbage. I do this pretty roughly because this kind of cabbage is pretty tender. I also slice up some cucumber into quarters. And I will also slice up some shallot for a little bit of a kick. Then before I mix the veggies with the dressing, I like to prep the chickpeas by just frying them in a hot pan with some olive oil. I usually season these with some chicken seasoning and just make sure they're all coated, and then I fry them until they pop in the pan and they get a little bit crispy on the outside. Now I will pop my prepped veggies into a mixing bowl along with a couple of handfuls of mixed baby greens. I also like to add some quinoa to my salad bases. It just makes them more satiating, and add some good complex carbs and protein as well. Once I've mixed my greens with my dressing, I just serve it up in a bowl and top it with some extra goodies, starting with the chickpeas of course, and then I also add some cherry tomatoes as well as some radishes, which are so nice right now that summer is finally here. I finish off with some hemp hearts again for a little bit of crunch and extra goodness. And that's my simple lunch salad done. You could of course vary this infinitely, just use whatever vegetables you have on hand. In the afternoon, I always crave a snack, and I am a sucker for anything crunchy. So on this day, I prepared some rice crackers, or actually these were maize crackers, and I topped them with some homemade hummus. It looks a bit pink because we added some mixed beans to it. I also topped it with some sliced up cucumber and radish. I often use veggies to top my hummus toast or crackers. I think it's really nice and fresh and crunchy. Then to give it all a little bit more flavor, I go in with the seasoning mix. It's got chili, lemon, and garlic, all the good stuff, and of course some salt as well. So it's dinner time now, and I'm going to make something that I always crave when the weather gets nicer, it gets warmer, and that's tacos. And I'm going to make a sort of taco meat, if you will, made with mushrooms, and I'm gonna mix some black beans in there. And then I saw these nice peaches in the store, and I knew I just needed to do something with peaches. Here in Sweden, they only really come around, they're only really available in the summertime, and I really love them. Peaches and nectarines, and I'm gonna use them in a salsa for the tacos. So it's gonna be like a fruity, fresh, tangy and sweet salsa to go on top of that mushroom taco meat. And I've also got some avocados, and I think it's gonna be really yummy, very simple. I think tacos are great for summer. You can prep things ahead of time and just whip it out when you're ready to eat. Even though it has a few elements, they're all pretty quick and easy to make. I make the salsa first by chopping up the peaches into small cubes. I'll do the same with some red onion and some tomatoes. I'll use the same cherry tomatoes as I've been using all day, and that will make the base of my salsa. Then to give the salsa lots of flavor, I chop up some fresh coriander. I use about a handful to serve the two of us. Usually I would squeeze some fresh lime over this, but I didn't have lime on hand, so I just took some lemon. Not quite the same, but it's still good. And then I just season it with salt and mix it up really well to combine. And then I set that aside while I prep my mushrooms. I use a mixture of shiitake mushrooms and chestnut mushrooms, and with the shiitake mushrooms I like to cut the woody end off the stem, and then I just chop them into small pieces. I also just chop the chestnut mushrooms into a size that is similar to the shiitake mushrooms, and then I set that aside and cook some of that red onion I chopped up in a hot pan with a little bit of oil. Once the onion is softened, I add the mushrooms and I fry them off until they're tender as well. I season at the start with salt and lots of spices. I've got cumin, smoked paprika, oregano, garlic powder, and some chili flakes. Once the mushrooms are nice and cooked, I add in a can of drained and rinsed black beans and I stir them through and cook them until they're warm as well. You want to leave them in there with the mushrooms for a couple of minutes, stirring them through just to make sure that they absorb lots of the flavorings as well. Then I top my corn tortillas with the mushrooms and black beans. I add some slices of avocado, or maybe it would have been even better with guacamole. I'll try that next time. Finally, I top that off with my salsa, which finishes these tacos off nicely, adds a lot of color and flavor, and makes them look really yummy. So these tacos turned out really good. I haven't really done the taco meat like this before by frying the mushrooms in a pan like that with the black beans. And I will say that it could be good to add some moisture to that if you want to try it at home. Maybe some tomato paste and vegetable stock or something like that, just to bring it all together. But it's a nice combo of the savory mushrooms and black beans with all the spices, and then the peachy, sweet and sour salsa. I will say it could use a little bit of hot sauce, maybe some Valentina on there, and it will be perfect. Valentina is about as hot as I go since we moved back to Sweden. I'm a little baby when it comes to spicy food. But that sauce is really good if you've never tried it. Now, that's it from me today. I hope you've enjoyed spending the day with me and cooking with me, and I look forward to seeing you all in the next video. So take care and see you then.